Right. 3, 2, 1. Back at it here on a Monday here on the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Monday Night Football just wrapped up. That's why we're a little late.
It did.
I'm just kidding.
It was a pretty good game.
Never late. It was a pretty good game. Turned out to be pretty.
It was pretty. Yeah, it turned in to be a pretty good game.
Vikings, Bears. NFC North. Bears looked like they were going to win. It was like, oh wow, 17-6. Wow, this team looks like a good team. Ben Johnson's got him going. And then the Bears did bear things. Vikings
pretty much
came back and won. Spoiler alert: Vikings won, by the way. In case you were
Vikings. That really got me. Where they had the quarterback that played so well last year, McCarthy, rookie, injured, not there the whole year, but they hand the ball to him. It wasn't looking that good for a while, but I'm just not so sure about that move. It's like
it was Sam Darnold that was there last year, right? I mean, he was having that sensational year. And
it's like you look at Love for the Packers. He sat for 2 or 3 years, and looks like it did him a lot of good, really.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing they did with Aaron Rodgers. Sat him behind Brett Favre. Whatever
happened to Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, he's with the Steelers now. Yeah, just 41 years old. Slinging it out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers and beating his old team.
Yeah.
No.
How about this one, Keaton? Put it on your calendar.
Okay.
September 28th.
Okay.
I think it's Sunday night football, the feature game, I believe.
Yeah.
Cowboys, Packers.
You're right. I can't wait for it. I'm looking forward to it. In Dallas. Get your tickets. In Dallas. Should be a good one. That'd be fun. Even though,
it'll be
I'll
something.
tell this out there. Yeah, I'm a Cowboys fan. I didn't expect the Cowboys to beat Philadelphia. I really didn't expect them to be within even realm of striking distance. And the fact they only lost by 4, that's I get there's no moral victories. But that, if there ever was one, I'm like, yes. All right, we have potential. You can see it. But anyway, NFL week 1, college football kicking off. It's that time of year, high school football. We're already halfway through our high school football season already.
Two of my really good friends are Cowboy fans, and you are as well. So.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, I don't know which
Kelly Thompson.
Kelly, yeah. Oh, Kelly.
Yeah, he's not answering the phone for a while.
No, probably not. Probably not.
We call him KT from Midtown when we start taking calls.
Start taking calls. We take a live call. Yeah, there we go. I like it. We should start doing that. Have a live call-in number.
He's in on our show a lot, although he says stuff like, "Hey, how's Alaska sports rap going?" It's like he
get the name right
every time. I don't think he shows us the proper respect.
I don't think our podcast in general gets the proper respect. I mean, I think
perhaps we get the respect that we deserve.
I don't even know if we're getting that, guys. I think, I have high expectations of us. And
as we should. We should always strive
to
have the highest
expectations. Medium bar.
It's the medium bar. In case you're a first-time listener, this is not usually how we start the show, but nevertheless, Isaiah Freeman, Brad Lowers, Keaton Homer along with you. Glad to have you along wherever you get your Sports Talk podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever it might be. Glad to have you here. Mentioned that we're already halfway through the high school football season here in the state of Alaska. Week number 4 just wrapping up this past week. Only 4 more regular season games already. So,
and it goes fast.
It does.
It really goes fast.
Here. Really flies. So we'll recap some of the scores from week number 4. Also touch on some scores from flag football. We'll also look at the standings of where things kind of sit in terms of D1, D2. You can kind of start to project maybe some playoff picture and maybe in some instances, maybe seeding. I mean, even though we hate to do that at this point in time, but you can kind of start to infer, where some teams might be at here come the end of September, beginning of October, and where they might be aligning for playoff seeds. So we'll kind of look at the standings there as well. Recap UAA Volleyball. They're off to a terrific start. Maybe a little high school volleyball as well. And then we promised you a kind of rant.
Yes.
A little bit of a rant.
We did. Mm-hmm.
And I know Brad wasn't on the last show. He was down in Texas, where it was warm and nice and things like that. But I'm sure Brad's got an opinion on this um, as well. But we'll talk about the Alaska athlete and like what kind of constitutes an Alaskan athlete. We'll get to that bit later on. But anyway, high school sports, week 4 in the books, back in conference play, week number 3. Everybody was kind of out of conference as we take a look at some of the high school scores from this past week. As let's start. Where should we start? We want to start in D1. Let's start D1. Let's do it. All right, West and Colony.
Might as well.
The West Anchorage Eagles, a 35-16 win over the Colony Knights, out at Colony. West, I don't know if I would have thought they would have been undefeated at this point in the season. Week 4, they've had some close games. Probably, a couple of 1 point. I think they had 1 point victory. They had a 1-score victory in the first week or something like that. I don't know, Brad. Would you have thought, new head coach? Tim Davis, still on the sideline, but not coaching, kind of whatever thing. And here they are. They're undefeated.
I think you make a good point, Keaton, that they kind of slid through a couple of games. One that was razor close, and the game against Diamond where they had to stop Diamond at the half-yard line, basically. Diamond could have easily won that game. But I think the fact that West was able to get by those games, and I think now they're gaining confidence, the new coach thing. I think players, I haven't studied their roster, but they seem like a young team. They didn't seem like they had bona fide stars returning. Yeah. But now those players are, when you're building confidence like that, that's such a big part of high school sports. And I think West, I think they got East coming up this week, if I'm not mistaken. And, they got a chance to really be in commanding position coming down the stretch. And, they could just as easily be, below 500. So they put themselves in a great spot.
No, they really have put themselves in a great spot. Anytime you can start 4-0, you can't do any better than that. 4-0 is the ceiling at the moment. So, but they're off to a good start, beating Colony 35-16 last week. Other Division I scores, Service and Diamond. The Service Cougars also keep it rolling in a 25-7 win over the Diamond Lynx. And Brad, I know Isaiah and I were kind of talking last week, the struggles with Diamond. It just seems like their offense, they just can't get anything clicking offensively. It seems to be somewhat inconsistent. I know you've seen them a little bit more than probably any of us in person, but what is your kind of observations of the Diamond Lynx through 4 weeks of the season?
Well, I actually went to that homecoming game against Service, and I did something I rarely do. I left, at the start of the fourth quarter, but, just Diamond, they have a problem with penalties, and a lot of times they'll have big plays and they'll lose them due to penalties, but they're just kind of snake bit. And to give you an example of how their snake bit is, it's like a 3rd and 2, 4th and 2, they're coming to the line, the back umpire, how it goes, Keaton, he's like 1. He's just like slowly making the 5 count. But the Diamond band was there. Of course, they were doing a great job, but not at this particular point because they continued to play as Diamond was trying to get a play off and the quarterback's clapping. And all of a sudden the whistle blows and the flag goes up and they get to delay a game with, their own band playing. So maybe I should have brought that up, but it's just symbolic of how things are going bad. And Service, very impressed. They've got that wide receiver screen that they throw out, and the quarterback, Rock. Is there a better name for a football player? And he's lefty down there. He's a really good basketball player, and I think it's his first year playing quarterback. But he's completing a high percentage. He's not throwing deep all the time, but when he does, he's got receivers that go up and get it.
Yeah.
That last game, what really impressed me is neither side dropped a pass. I think there was one interception was dropped, but usually you go to a high school game, there's 4 or 5 drops. That's about the average. So I was impressed how people caught the ball and stuff like that. Diamond had their one touchdown. Their wideout just skied to get it. Service had a lot of nice catches along the way, but it was slow and steady. Service just kind of asserting themselves and making big plays. I guess, the hope for Diamond and really all the teams in the Cook is, there's a lot of teams that make it to state. And if you're playing well at the end, if you're not a high seed and you win the first game, it's just as good as being a high seed.
Yeah. No, everybody in Division I makes the playoffs. So you can go winless and you can be the number 8 seed. And if somehow, some way, you I guess, quote unquote, pull out the miracle, I mean, the regular season kind of doesn't matter at that point. So, but as of right now, through 4 weeks of the season, in terms of D1, West and Service are your two standout teams. Both of those teams are undefeated so far in conference and overall as well. The other two Division I games, Bartlett and Juneau. Bartlett blanking the Juneau Douglas Crimson Bears by the final score of 27-0. And then South. I don't know if I expected South to be where they're at either in terms of 4 weeks into the season at 2-1 in conference play. They picked up a win over East 33-7 as John Lewis, second term at South, I guess you could call it. The original head coach of the South Anchorage Wolverines when they first opened in 2005, 2006 time frame, took a little bit of a hiatus and then back at it. And now South seems to be pretty formidable. I mean, with their offense that they've put up quite a few points over the last couple of weeks. I think last week against Lathrop, I want to say they put up 30-something points as well. Hold on. Let me see where was that? Come on. Oh, man. I don't know. But anyway, I know against Lathrop, they put up like 35 or 36 points as well. So 2 weeks in a row where they've had the offense rolling. So take a look at the D1 standings. West and Service, two top teams. They are both 3-0 in conference play, followed by Bartlett and South, both at 2-1. And then Juneau at 1-2. Colony is 1-2. And then East and Diamond still looking for their first victories in conference and also overall on the season. So right now, in terms of D1, guys, West and Service kind of seem to be separating themselves just a little bit. I know there's still 4 weeks left in the regular season. And there's still some matchups left to be played. And I'm sure that South and Bartlett, when they get to, an opportunity to go up against West or Service or anything of that matter when the season or
isn't
that
it
point time rolls around.
Isn't Bartlett going over to play South this
I think
week?
so. I think,
the team that wins that game will be within a game of the top, and the team that drops, will have a tougher way ahead of them. But it just seems like with that win against Juneau, that's a pretty impressive win, 27-0.
27, yeah.
There's not that many shutouts, so Bartlett might be a team on the rise.
It's only the second time a team has been shut out in CIC. The other one was back in week 1 when Bartlett shut out Diamond 12-0. So Bartlett's got the 2 shutouts. So their defense pretty stout. Looking ahead in terms of Division I matchups, Juneau and South playing each other this Friday, and then Diamond and Colony on Friday night as well. Is that game out at Colony, Brad, or is that?
I think it is.
I think it is too.
Diamond's had a few home games already, so
Diamond and Colony out at Colony, and Service and Bartlett, which will be a good matchup. And then you mentioned it earlier on, West and East tangling on Saturday as well. That West-East game is at 4 p.m. Bartlett and Service at 3:30 p.m. on Saturday. So you can go to ASAA365.com. You can get caught up on all the scores and schedules and upcoming games and things like that. So there's kind of a recap of Division I and some scores from D1 as we move on to Division II scores from this past week. A lot of action up in Fairbanks this past week, but we'll start things off with Soldotna and Eagle River as So High keeps it rolling. 44-27 against Eagle River. A little bit of a closer game than Sohai has had in the last couple of weeks, in which they put up 77 against Chugiak. They put up 63 the following week. Was it 63 against Diamond? I can't remember. That was
something like that.
50. I think it was like 55 or 63, something like that.
Might have been only 56. Keaton.
Okay. You probably better. It was a lot of points. A lot of points.
What I find interesting about Soldotna, and maybe it's, I don't know why this would be, but they've given up points. They have scored a ton. They're not going to get beat. You got to score 60 to beat them, maybe, but it just seems kind of odd when you maybe have really good athletes. I don't know if they sub more on defense or they're just more goal oriented on offense, but it seems like team might beat you if they score 30, but their offense is so powerful.
Well, remember that kind of happened last year. I mean, Lathrop beat Sohai last year.
They did.
And Lathrop was able to, they had a lot of success moving the football and capitalizing on some of the mistakes that Sohai made offensively, converting some turnovers into points and things like that. But I kind of agree with you, Brad, in terms of it just seems like this year on the defensive side of the ball, they're not as stout as they have been, couple, 3, 4, 5 seasons ago, in terms of just the amount of points given up. But Eagle River putting up 27, Soldotna not lighting the scoreboard up for 56 or 63 or 77, whatever it might be, but putting up 44 against the Eagle River Wolves. Wasilla in North Pole. This game up in North Pole, there was 3 games in North Pole in the Fairbanks area this week in Division II. North Pole being one of those games, and North Pole battling back against Wasilla to win 24-14. Chugiak was at Lathrop, and Lathrop ended up winning 49-21 over Chugiak. And then Palmer was at West Valley, and Palmer squeaks by the Wolfpack. And I mean squeaks, 33-32 against the West Valley Wolfpack. So Palmer, we talked about him last week, Isaiah, when they put up 41 against Juneau, a D1 opponent, 41-20, and we're like, wow, they're going to be, in terms of D2, I mean, outside of Sohai, they're going to be the team to kind of beat. But, I mean, West Valley, they've been in a handful of close games this year, and they've just been on the short end of it. And Palmer squeaking by 33-32.
One thing about Palmer, Keaton, didn't they play so high to start the season? And they dropped that game. They still scored, but they're in a great position to really make a run now because they're not going to play Soldotna in the middle of the year or the end of the year. So they did squeak out that last one, but, they're playing the kind of football that makes you think that they could extend their streak and have a little momentum going into the playoffs.
I mean, they scored 41 against Palmer or Soldotna.
Right. And a loss, I think that was kind of the eye-opening thing in terms of Palmer. Like, holy cow, Palmer's got an offense, right?
They can't give up 77. That's a bit of an issue.
Yeah,
but
I mean.
First game, I mean, to your point, Brad, they're not going to play him now until the end of the season if they meet in a semifinal or a championship game.
Well, here's the thing.
Stacking wins, that's what you need to do.
We said this about Soldotna, how they have a target on their back, and that's kind of obvious. But I think the other thing, too, is over the years, they've not just beaten teams, but they've, gone for 2. They've had the killer instinct, whatever you want to call it, but they've beaten teams by as bad as they can beat them sometimes.
Yeah.
And so even more than having a target on their backs, they got, guys that are going to sell out. And I think of a team like Lathrop that's very athletic, and they might not come to play all the time or whatever, but you're going to see Lathrop, everybody's going to put 100% effort because, they've had that rivalry with Soldotna, and, every game they can get from them is, a little bit revenge factor.
Yeah, no, totally. So looking ahead in terms of D2 football coming up this week, going into week number 5, Palmer and Eagle River taking on each other. This game is on Friday at 7 o'clock. North Pole versus Lathrop at 7 o'clock up in Fairbanks. Chugiak is out at Wasilla. That game at 7 p.m. And then Soldotna versus West Valley on Friday night at 7:30 as well. So that Soldotna West Valley game could be kind of interesting, given, I mean, the fact that, how close West Valley has been and a handful. You look at some of these scores for West Valley. I mentioned they just lost to Palmer by 33-32. And then in the previous week for West Valley, they lost to West 28-27. So there's back-to-back losses where they lost by a point, albeit that's a non-conference game. They defeated Wasilla 27-13, and they lost to Eagle River 22-12. So that was back in week number 1. But, I mean, the last 2 weeks, you've lost by a combined of 2 points. So West Valley's got something going, at least it appears anyway.
Where's that game this week?
For
West Valley.
At least according to ASAA 365, it's listed at West Valley, but I know that the Chugiak-Wasilla game is in Wasilla, and they've listed it at Chugiak. So take that with a grain of salt. So
I think it might make a big difference in that game, too.
Oh, totally. If that game is up in Fairbanks, travel's hard in this state for any sport.
Especially not hard for West to go to East, but
right.
West Valley goes anywhere. It's a bit of a hike.
Yeah, totally. Take a look at the Rail Belt Conference standings, Division II standings. Lathrop and Soldotna undefeated in conference play at 3-0. Lathrop overall is 3-1, and Soldotna is 4-0. So Soldotna the 1 seed, Lathrop the 2 seed at the moment. North Pole and Palmer each 2-1. North Pole 2-2, Palmer at 3-1, and then West Valley, Eagle River are 1-2, and Wasilla and Chugiak are both 0-3. Still 4 games remaining on the schedule. So those number 3 and number 4 spots potentially going to have some movement there here in the next 4 weeks or so. Remember, Division II is a little bit different in terms of things and who makes the playoffs. In Division I, all 8 teams are going, right? D2, top 4 teams are going. So you got to be in the top 4 to be able to make the playoffs this year. So
Isaiah, I got a question for you, and maybe you have some insight into this, but it's kind of interesting. Like in D1, that Service undefeated, West is undefeated, and they haven't, of course, played yet. So you have a late season matchup that's going to be pretty good, and then So High undefeated, Lathrop undefeated. They're not going to meet till second half of the season. Is there any way the ADs and the scheduling people kind of can see that coming? And because it's kind of an interesting little deal, and it's going to build crowd and interest. Just kind of curious if that's just a roll of the dice, or if somebody saw that coming.
I mean, to me, there's so many factors when it comes to scheduling that I don't know if that's something that they actually look at. There's so many homecoming things and teams leaving and this rubrics of Division II, Division III, and Division I, and scheduling within, but then having one crossover games and all that. I don't think some of those competitive things towards the end are necessarily quite looked at. Could I say 100% that it's not? No, of course not. But that's pretty far down the list of things that they're looking at.
Yeah, but I think if it is random, that's going to really build a lot of interest, and those games should be well attended. And
they should be. I agree with you.
Close eye on it. We'll keep a close look.
I think maybe we should just start making the schedule.
No,
not
for all the money.
No. Oh, okay.
You couldn't pay me enough.
Just throwing that out there.
I'll pass on that. I've been part of some of that stuff. Yeah, I'll pass.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
$1 million? Would you do it for $1 million?
I would do it for $1 million.
Okay,
yes.
So we have a price. All right, guys, $1 million. We will schedule it out.
I'll give people a deal. You give me $100,000 just to do the football schedule. I will take care of it.
All right,
I'll take care of it for $100,000. But that's all I'm taking care of.
Isaiah is going to post his phone number at the end of this podcast, so feel free to reach out.
I think most people have it already.
That's probably true. Yeah, that's probably true.
I think, schools are in charge of various sports. East has traditionally been in charge of football.
Correct. Yep.
If you're the
Mhm.
activities principal at East, you got a chore. And
It's tough. Scheduling for
Brian,
any of these sports is tough. I mean,
yeah,
stuff
Yeah.
changes weekly sometimes,
Well,
especially in
and the
terms of the
added
lower levels, like C and JV stuff. I mean, that stuff changes almost daily. It seems like.
the
I'm
added
curious.
the added difficulty with football particularly is the pool of officials for football
Yes.
is much smaller than it is for basketball and
Sure.
volleyball, even though those are limited pools. But you have basketball games, once, twice a week, and they're spread out over different times. Football, you're only having on the weekend, and then you add flag into it and
Yeah.
the crossover for officials there. That is a huge piece that complicates scheduling for football immensely.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that might be the big, if there is a hindrance for high school football,
Hmm.
I mean, you're at the mercy of the officials, and
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Absolutely. Well, ASD's rule with some of the times, though, how they got they've moved things back.
Right.
Now you can only get so many officials after certain times because of
Right.
other work, because it's not their full time job. Plus the limited amount, and then you add flag into it. And if you're doing a flag in a football game, it's hard to do that sometimes
Yeah.
the same day because there's two different rules and all. It is a challenge
Don't.
for
You're
sure.
right. Yeah.
How about this, Isaiah? Our good friend Harold Wilson, guy's 80 years old and he's still running the sidelines. I mean, and doing a good job.
Well, and if he wasn't doing it,
yeah.
Right.
that's
Who
that's
would?
a
Yeah.
that would well, that's a big problem.
Yeah.
That's part of the challenge with football for the state. I know the peninsula has got a couple now, which is better than what it used to be in the last few years. They didn't have any, so Anchorage was sending officials down, which made things
Right.
really complicated.
Yeah.
That was yeah, I've been around in those offices when that stuff is going on, and it is
Yeah.
not pretty.
One
Uh,
thing I was curious, and maybe you guys know something about this too, Isaiah. We were talking scheduling, but Nikiski and Valdez in the 9-man,
Hmm.
they had a game canceled, and I was curious what happened there.
That I'm not sure. That generally, I can say, generally, when that happens, that a team cancels, it's for some different reasons. If weather isn't a factor, which generally right now it's not going to be, especially for those teams, Seward, Nikiski, Eielson, and Valdez, or not Eielson, excuse me. It's you're looking at it's primarily having to do with the amount of kids that are eligible because some are, let's say, some are hurt, and so they just don't have enough kids to do it
yeah.
safely. That's the big one for 9-man football, and that even filters into some of the 11-man C team and JV games as well.
Right. Right. When you mentioned Eielson for 9-man, I think you're thinking of that student wrestling
Yeah,
uh, program. What is it called? SW.
it's student wrestling development program.
Yes, they're doing 9-man. So
Isaiah's your go-to when you have a wrestling question.
oh,
Ugh,
all right.
you know it.
All right, I like it. Really quickly, let's give you the rundown in D3 football scores in the standings there as well. So scores from last week: Homer and Reddington. The Homer Mariners rolling yet again, 26-0 win over Reddington. Houston and Kenai, the Kenai Central Cardinals winning over the Houston Hawks, 31-22. Kodiak and Barrow, the Barrow Whalers picking up a victory, 36-20 over Kodiak. And then it says Seward versus varsity opponent. I don't know what that means. So
I
somebody
like
needs
their
to.
chances. I like their chances.
Well, varsity opponent beat Seward 20-8. So I
Oh,
don't know.
Well,
I
it could
don't
be.
know what that means.
It could be.
Like a
That could be a JV team from a 4A school or a Division One school.
okay.
It could mean that. That's generally what happens when you see some of those things.
Well,
If it's not on a team, on a specific
Yeah.
team, it's something like that. You see that a lot in basketball at the 2A and sometimes even the 3A level.
Well, it just says varsity opponent. Like, we can't even name, like, hey, you're playing the West JV team. Nope, it's just varsity opponent. And the varsity opponent won 20-8 against Seward. So,
I can tell
Seward,
you
I'm sorry. I just feel bad
I
for you.
have tried for years. I tried for years to get coaches to be able to do. You could do this with JV, and you could be a JV, and you could see if it was a West JV. It would say the team name,
Yeah.
but we never got to that point. We had a hard enough time getting the varsity things on there and in the right things. So I just kind of was like, okay, I'm just going to let them learn the JV stuff in their own time.
There you go. There you go. Take a look at the D3 standings. Barrow at the top, 1-0. Kenai 1-0. Homer also 1-0. Kodiak, Houston, and Reddington all 0-1. So they got their league play underway this past week. So overall, Homer is undefeated. They are 4-0 to lead the way there in the D3 football standings. Flag football, take a look at some scores from this past weekend in girls flag football. Where are we going to start here? I lost my spot. Hit the wrong button. You don't hit the tab button on the web browser, by the way. That takes you all the way back to the top. I don't know if you guys knew that trick. So if like you're scrolling through and you hit tab, it goes right back to the top where you don't want to be. So now I got to scroll down.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Technology, Mr. Lowers. Technology. Bartlett and Eagle River. Bartlett defeated Eagle River 14-0. West and Chugiak in a tight one. West pulled it out 18-16. North Pole and Wasilla. Wasilla taking down the defending state champions 48-27. Colony and West. It was a 42-22 win for West over Colony. West Valley and Lathrop. The Malamutes taking down West Valley 13-0. Wasilla later on. Wasilla played on Thursday, and then they played on Saturday as well against Chugiak. Wasilla blanked the Mustangs 42-0. Colony and North Pole. North Pole bouncing back with a victory over Colony 25-20. Diamond and Service. Diamond with a victory over the Service Cougars 20-14. And then North Pole and Reddington in a tight one 6-0. North Pole over the Reddington Huskies. Games coming up. There was one game today between Palmer and Bartlett. Don't have the score of it, but other games coming up tomorrow. Colony and Reddington, West Anchorage and Wasilla, Lathrop and North Pole, Chugiak and Diamond, Eagle River and Service. All those games taking place on Tuesday as of the recording, or today if you're listening to the recording today, whenever. The 9th of September. How about that? Okay. Just so you know.
I'm gonna listen to it and watch it on Tuesday.
There you go.
Because you went kind of fast, but I think that Wasilla West matchup, Wasilla, they have really taken to it. Isaiah, we have lunch with Lauren Crone once in a while, and he's a big fan of the flag football. I think his daughter's a quarterback, and maybe she got hurt a little bit recently, but their scores have been really impressive. And, and I think they started 3 years ago as a kind of combo teams. They played as, representing just their own high school last year. And here in their third season, looks like Wasilla's really come into their own. So West Wasilla, I think that's a go-to game, especially on Tuesday. And then I didn't get to see the Service Diamond game because I was needed to referee middle school baseball.
Wow.
Which is a thrill in itself. But I heard about the game, and Service was undefeated, and Diamond was able to win the game. And from what I was told, there was some lead changes in the last couple of minutes. And so, a good game. Service has really been a surprise team, even though they were second in state. Last year, they were fourth in regular season last year, and they've lost a few players. So, flag, Keaton, you've mentioned they can play 2 and sometimes 3 games a week. So that can really swing up and back in a hurry.
Yeah, flag, they can, I know that Chugiak, they played 5 games in 8 days or something like that. It was wild. I was like, that's a lot. But they can certainly do that.
You look at games on Wednesday, these could be the marquee matchups of the week when you look at Wednesday. Wasilla at Diamond, Wasilla 8-1, Diamond 7-1. Then you have South at West, both 6-2. You know,
Wow.
Those are some good
that
matchups.
Wednesday slate is a. If you
Wednesday.
got the NFHS network, you're gonna want
There
to
you go.
put those on. Go to one and watch the other one on your phone.
Yeah, that'll be a
Nice.
good slate of games on Wednesday.
Well, it's like this day and age. So Taylor Nerlin, he's coaching the the Clark team in middle school. But you know those Nerlins, they're big Oregon fans. So he's got the phone in the dugout, and
Oh, he's watching the Oregon
I
game
believe it.
against
he's
Oklahoma
like,
State or something, when they're
he's
destroying
like,
them.
Wasn't
like,
it 77-6 or something like that?
63 to
game?
3 or something like that.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah, the Nike Ducks, the
Yeah.
Oregon Nike Ducks.
Old Uncle
Pretty
Phil,
much.
Phil Knight, Anyway, kind of got sidetracked there. So that kind of gives you a recap of some of the high school football things that are going on. Again, ASAA 365, you can check out the schedule of games that are coming up and things getting posted in terms of the standings and all that kind of stuff as well. Any high school volleyball, Brad, that we should make note of?
Diamond ran into buzzsaws down in Texas. They came back 1-7, and there's a ranking out there that has Diamond 14th in the state, which they'll probably improve on that. They're actually 2-0 in conference.
Right.
South is undefeated in conference.
2-0, yeah.
Service is undefeated in conference, and I'm not sure that those teams. I'm not sure when they match up. I think. I don't know, maybe Service South plays this week, but seems to be the usual division of power. But Keaton, you're out there in this part of town, so I went and watched Chugiak the other night, and they have this girl. She's like 5 nothing. I mean, maybe she's 5'6", and she just plays above the net. I mean, she is one of the best players, and I think some of the Diamond people were going, I thought she graduated. I don't know.
I feel like every team has a player like that. I was like, haven't you graduated yet? I thought you graduated last year,
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I mean, you take a look at the volleyball standings. You mentioned that, Diamond undefeated at 2-0, South undefeated at 2-0. And then, I lost my standings now. No,
Service.
Service
is right there.
Yep, Service is right there, undefeated as well. Chugiak West are both 2-1. Eagle River 0-1 in conference play. Bartlett and East 0-3 in conference play. Northern Lights Conference, Colony, Soldotna, Palmer, Kodiak, and Wasilla. Colony 1-0 in conference play. Colony looks to be pretty stout. They're 11-6 overall. Soldotna yet to play a conference game. Palmer 0-1 as they lost to Colony, and Kodiak and Wasilla still haven't played a conference game either. So could be kind of interesting there. Mid-Alaska Volleyball, Lathrop, North Pole, West Valley. Lathrop 1-0. North Pole has not played a conference matchup yet. West Valley lost to Lathrop in that Mid-Alaska matchup. And then, of course, down in the southeast, you have Juneau and Ketchikan. They've played each other a couple of times, and Juneau has won both those matchups. They're 2-0 in conference play and 6-0 overall in volleyball. Since we're on volleyball, we'll go up a level. UAA Seawolf Volleyball, they are off to a terrific start. They are 7-0 as they get ready to go on the road for the first time this year. They will go up to Fairbanks to take part in the Denali State Bank Ice Block Classic as they'll take on Rollins, Cal State San Bernardino, and Rockhurst University before they get into GNAC play next week against Seattle Pacific and Montana State Billings. Biggest win to date for UAA, taking down number 9 Chaminade a couple of weeks ago. But they look pretty impressive in their last outing against Minot State, winning in 3 straight sets against the Beavers. So 7-0, and Stacy Meisner has that club playing really good volleyball. It'll be interesting to see how they fare on the road for the first time this year, and then also starting conference play on the road as well. So if you haven't checked out UAA Volleyball, go seawolves.com. You can get your tickets in advance as well. All right.
Keaton, toughest team they played apparently is the UAA alumni. Who?
Yes, you're right.
Were able to
You're not wrong.
You're
I was
not
over at the
wrong.
Alaska Airlines, and I ran into Morgan Hill, and I said, why didn't you play in the alumni game? And she said, she was concentrating on her coaching, and Caden Osborne, led the way setting. But
Yeah.
again, I think I've said it before, Morgan's one of my favorite players to ever watch, and played on great South teams and maybe one of the very best UAA teams. So looks like UAA volleyball is going to be another fun season to watch them.
No, they're going to be good. That's for sure. They were picked to finish 5th in the GNAC in the preseason poll, and just my gut feeling is that I think they're going to finish a little bit higher. So we'll see how things play out.
Keaton,
So
they'll be good, and you'll make them sound better.
I hope that's my goal. That's my goal. So, all right, we're getting to the close of this podcast, but I know that we promised you, Isaiah and I, kind of like a rant a little bit in terms of coverage of Alaska athletes. And we love Alaska athletes, and we love following them once they leave Alaska and things like that. And it's always great to hear what they do, and whether that's the professional ranks or college ranks. But it seems like over the last while, we're starting to get to this point in media coverage where we're following athletes who, in my opinion, really haven't contributed to the sports scene here in Alaska. Give you an example, love Brooke Hayward. Fantastic basketball player, got a lot of attention prior to going to high school, didn't even attend high school here in the state of Alaska. She's going to the University of Oregon, by the way, which is awesome, fantastic. But she gets coverage sometimes as if she's like representing Alaska. Like, I don't get that. And there's a few other athletes out there that kind of fall in that same boat. Like, my mentality is if you represent the state of Alaska, if you played high school sports and contributed in some way or form. Now, if you transfer a little bit later, because that does happen, you go out of state, fine. But you contributed at least for maybe a year or two here to Alaska. You're from here. You played here. Awesome. If you don't play high school sports here, I don't want to be rude, but why do we care? Like, cool, you went to elementary school here. You went to middle school. Like, why? I don't know how you guys feel, but there was an ADN article. I sent this to you, Isaiah, last week, like right after, like, hey, look at this. And I can't remember the guy's name. He's a basketball player. I think he's playing professional basketball overseas. And the very first comment on Facebook about it is, who? Like, we don't know who this guy is. I don't, like, who are we talking about? But
yeah, Keaton,
anyway.
I think you're talking about an article about Quentin Williams. Who, he went to Gladys Wood Elementary.
See,
and he's been in my home, and he lived up the street. I don't know where he went, but it's amazing. He has incredible vertical, and he's come back. And I think with Chad Dyson, who does a lot of camps in the villages. I don't know.
Well,
it was interesting to me, but I don't know where he went. He actually went to Connecticut.
Okay. Which is great. I love that these guys and gals are getting out there and doing something awesome. Don't get me wrong. That is awesome. Right. But I feel like our media landscape covers these athletes as if they were an integral part of the sports cornerstone in this state. I mean, you think of people like Carlos Boozer, Trajan Langdon, Scotty Gomez, the Peelys, whether that's Brandon Peely, Alyssa Peely. I mean, you can even go back even farther. You can go to Reggie Tung when he played at Lathrop, Darren College when he played at North Pole, Mark Schlereth when he played at Service. I mean, these are people that played high school sports in this state, at least for maybe a season, maybe 2 seasons, maybe their entire career, whatever. But they contributed on some level to sports here in Alaska. We're starting to cover people who attended, no offense, elementary school. Oh, they were born here. They're from Alaska, but they didn't contribute anything.
It was I think Dick's kid.
Yeah, Deshaun Nix, or
I think you're close on that. I mean, he came back with a Vegas team and played, but he hadn't been here since middle school. I think he had a cup of coffee with the Houston Rockets.
Right.
So, anyways, Keaton, the other thing is that gets me, and I think it's on a similar vein, and that's kids that change schools, which is the modern deal. Like, let's just say an east to west,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to mention any names, but all of a sudden there's a feature article, and this is such a great family atmosphere, and it's like an advertisement for recruiting, and it's just, and then hey, I get it, they're having a great year, but why not the kid that stuck it out and his team wasn't winning, and that was his community, and he hung in there and eventually got it turned around. Don't glorify the kid that went to the better situation and won by crossing town. And I think eventually there's a karma that catches up, some way, somehow. But that, hey, it's legal, you can do it, but let's not, glorify that, and they shouldn't get all the attention. And
no, I can agree with you on that. I mean, and everybody's situation is completely different. We hear rumors all the time of why somebody left to go to this school or whatever, and I can't sit there and say that's not the reason. I don't know, right? And most of us never will really know the answer. We will all have our inklings and assumptions, but we won't know. And I agree with you. I hate the transfer thing. It's crazy how often it happens, and that's why ASAA a year ago, or not a year ago, this past spring, adopted that, rule about the transfer thing and everything like that. So I think maybe that's cut down on a little bit on it. Maybe. But I don't know, Isaiah, what are your thoughts on, the media coverage, and, it just seems like Alaska athletes, we're claiming anybody and everybody, like, just kind of thing.
I agree more along the lines with you, Keaton. It's, to me, I think it's a little more restrictive than that. I mean, if you play as a freshman and then you leave, I mean, think of how many military families we have here. They're stationed up here, they're moved up here, they're here for a year, maybe junior, 8th grade and then 9th grade, and then they leave. They were never really rooted in the community. They just happen to play for a little bit, and then then some are following them like they're Alaska athletes, even though those kids probably don't even claim that.
Right.
I have some issues with that. That's not the Alaska. When I think of an Alaskan athlete, I think of somebody like a Boozer, a Langdon, a Schlereth. I think of those guys. I even think of Gomez. Now, Gomez had to leave for a little bit because of junior hockey, which there was not junior hockey up here.
Correct.
There is now. Hockey's a little bit of a different structure in that way. But again, there's play. He's from Alaska. He came back to Alaska. That makes sense to me. But I'm kind of along the lines with you. I hear, yeah, this kid played, in this elementary school over here, or was part of this camp that we had. And I'm like, that's great. Again, I agree with you, Keith.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking
Cool.
anybody. That's great. I have no problems with it. Awesome. But there needs to be some context to these things of,
right.
If you're an Alaskan athlete, you're an Alaskan athlete. To me, you've played your high school up here. You're not chasing something. The old adage, and I remember when I was coaching, this was still around, is, well, I have to leave to get noticed. I have to leave to get noticed.
Yeah.
That is not the way it is anymore. I am a firm believer in that. I don't think that is the case anymore. With YouTube and all the social media and all the different things that are happening with recruiting, I don't think that needs to be the case anymore for people to leave to, quote unquote, get noticed. How many travel teams do basketball teams have? You pop open social media, and I try not to look at social media, unfortunately, for work. I have to a certain extent. But my goodness, I see, what is there, 1,000 travel basketball teams that leave the state of Alaska during the summer? I mean,
yeah, it's the same thing in volleyball.
It's insane. There has to be 1,000 teams that leave over the course of a year for club volleyball, club basketball, club soccer. I mean, just everywhere. So to me, that just doesn't hold water. And I'd like to see some of those things broadcast more as far as in the media and all that. But we can't control the media, even though we are part of the media. We can't really control that and what people's interests are. But to me, I think there's more people along the lines with us than we think.
Yeah.
That's just how
No,
I
you're
that's
probably
how I
right.
see it.
It
That's
may
how I
be
see it. And again, it's not bashing anybody. It's
no, no, no,
that's
no.
what I
This is
think
not.
of as
Yeah.
when you're an Alaskan athlete.
Well, I think with a good athlete, you don't have to go outside to be seen anymore. You have
No.
highlight films, you have travel teams. There's no real secrets. I mean, and you can notify people when you're going to be playing a certain place. Coaches are already there.
Exactly.
They will find you.
100%.
If you are good enough to play Division 1 at anything, they will find you. Think
I
of how
heard-
many girls in the last few years have gone on to play D1 soccer. Sophie Letford is going to play at UC Davis.
Yeah.
You telling me that she would have had to transfer out of Grace and go down to Oregon or Washington to get no, she didn't have to.
Layla
She was on
Hayes.
some travel teams. Layla Hayes, Iowa, no, she stayed at Wasilla the whole time. If you are good enough, they will find you.
No, I agree. I mean, I heard this a long time ago from a Sherry Cole, used to be the basketball coach at the University of Oklahoma, and she had a great saying.
Sherry Cole.
Yeah.
Remember her, Brad? That's where we got some of our stuff. We had to tweak some things, but yeah.
Great basketball coach. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
mind.
she's great.
Yeah. She had a saying, and she said she is a firm believer that greatness is hard to keep quiet. If you are that great,
100%.
then somebody's going to notice. So, and I just love that quote. I mean, it's dead on. Like, if you are that good, all right, somebody is going to notice you. So
I never heard her say that, but I like that.
No,
I'm stealing
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
No, it's great. I mean, it's the truth. And I'd say it's even more the truth now than it was 15 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. And you mentioned Scott Gomez as a perfect example of that. Yeah, you spent 2 years at East playing hockey, but hockey was a lot different in the 90s.
No one's more Alaskan than Scotty Gomez.
Oh, no. But
no,
I mean,
of course not.
Airport Heights. But I think Isaiah said it. Hockey, that's the norm. I mean,
right. Yeah.
Every kid travels.
Right.
Well, and that's the difference. I mean, even though there's junior hockey teams up here in Fairbanks, Kenai, and Anchorage now, there's still a limited amount of spaces for kids. So some kids will have to leave. That's just the way that is.
Yeah.
That's the difference between some of those things. I'm much more aligned with you on this, Keaton, and what that looks like.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say like a Scott Gomez, he's an Alaskan. We know he is. He brought the Stanley Cup back to Anchorage twice. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
He's an integral part of the community. Even Carlos Boozer, he'll come back and visit Juneau every once in a while.
He just got inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. So
Naismith Hall of Fame.
Yep. National Basketball Association.
Gomez is in the Hall of Fame.
Gomez is in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame now.
U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame.
Rash, Bowling Hall of Fame.
Yes.
A lot of Hall of Famers.
See?
If you're good, you're going to get noticed up here.
Yeah.
I
don't know. And maybe we're more privy to it because you're right, Isaiah. We look at social media and we see these things and these posts across social media. I'll say mainly X, or what was known as Twitter, and I'll go through the feed and I look at it, and it's like, oh, this person is committing here. They're from Alaska. They were born in Alaska or whatever. I'm like, dude, you didn't play here. Like, you didn't do anything. Like, I watched Mario Chalmers dunk on Chugiak High School in person. Like, I watched it. I was like, whoa. Like, but, anyway. So.
I got some breaking news.
Okay.
You're ready for it.
Yep. Let's end the show with some breaking news. Let's do it.
I don't know if Isaiah saw this, or you, Keaton, because you're so busy during the day. You got other responsibilities, but it just popped up that there was a job posted with the basketball community at a boys' high school basketball position. and I hope I get this exactly right, but I was told that this was at Bartlett High School, and so that would mean Steve Drussel. But I'll have to fact check that. I probably shouldn't have thrown it out there,
Interesting.
but I got it from a pretty reliable source. And Steve Drussel's, one of the best liked coaches, and he's been there 7-8 years. He's done things like bringing college coaches to showcase kids.
Yep.
He's been involved at the youth coaching level. He's done a lot of really good things there, and I think his son may have graduated out, and there may have been other factors, but if true, he's going to be missed, and could be interesting to see.
We'll have to vet this. Yeah, gonna have to vet to make sure this is the case, because that would be interesting.
That would definitely be interesting.
I wonder if it would pop up on a school district post or something, or I think that's where it did pop up. So Bartlett put out a thing.
A PVA? I haven't seen
that's the thing.
PVA, yeah.
But seems like in girls coaching you'll see them pop up. We got guys coaches that hang around a little longer.
Well, interesting. Well, we'll have to take a look at that deep dive. So Brad Lauers with potential breaking news there. So
I'll have to give up on that source if it's not true.
Yeah.
And I'll say next week, I'll say, Keaton, I don't know why you said that.
Oh, yeah. Blame me. Yeah, blame me. I'll just take it all. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the Alaska Sports Talk podcast. Thanks so much for joining us here on AST, wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, be sure you like, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. We like 5-star ratings. 5 stars is always nice.
We do.
If it was 10 stars, I would hope you would rate us 10 stars. But it's
or
only
rate us
5
stars twice.
Oh, there you go. You can do that.
There we go.
Yep. So until next week, for Isaiah Freeman, Brad Lauers, I'm Keaton Homer signing it off. We'll see you out there at the Alaska Sports Universe somewhere at some games sometime.